U is for underground cities. I know it's an obscure one, but hear me out. There's a really lot of like cool underground cities and a whole bunch of books, sometimes movies, and other stories that are really interesting and cool. So I'm gonna highlight 4 of them for you. First one, Hogans Heroes. If you've ever seen the TV show Hogans Heroes, it is fantastic and hilarious. Quick summary, there's prisoners in a prisoner of war camp during World War II in Germany, and the commandant of the camp is really stupid and really oblivious, and because of this, Hogan, who's kind of the commander sort of all the prisoners of war, has this whole underground network. The cool things about this is that with their extensive network of tunnels, they can move over a really big region of Germany. Like obviously not the whole thing, but they can cover a lot of ground, blow up trains and stuff. They also have radio communication directly to headquarters in England, which is crazy. They disguise the antenna by raising the flagpole. It's fun. They also are able to control telephone communications within Germany, and some of them can do a very convincing German accent. So that's always fun. They also have a manufacturing plant under there, so they make paperweights for generals in the German army, and every third is a bomb. Sort of inspired by this, more than I realized at the time that I was planning this. In my NaNoWriMo story, I have one of the mini stories within the larger story. There's a town in Kansas that sort of uses their corn maze to pick victims for their annual sacrifice to their goddess so that they have a blooming, prospering, healthy village. And so they get the people in the corn maze and they lure them underground, and then they they knock them out with drugs and they stuff them to look like scarecrows, but really realistic ones, since it's, the most haunted corn maze in Kansas. And then they bring them back above ground, but they have this whole underground network. And also, it's a weird story because it's inspired by Hogans Heroes and also Supernatural. And then there's a little bit of Cabin in the Woods thrown in because they can control the traps and see where everybody is in the maze by looking at a computer screen. We're getting rid of the video part of it, but just little GPS dots showing where people are. Also, another book series, Gregor the Overlander. If my memory serves me right, which it's been a while since I read them, but I really love them. There's an underground community of these giant rats, and they use echolocation to find their way around. There might have been some humans, I don't really remember, but it's really cool. And they have this huge system and everything. They have rivers to go through, and they're awesome at fighting with 2 swords. They're well, yeah, why would you only use one when you have 2 hands? But one of my favorites would have to be City of Ember and that book series. I just thought it was a really detailed underground world. They did a very good job of laying out all the little details and creating just enough history that you got a sense of the backstory, but it didn't drag the story down. And they also, it was cool because they set it up so you didn't really know it was underground, and it didn't feel like it was underground, which I think makes it cooler. And trying to imagine the huge ceiling and the amount of tunnels that would take, because they had some decently multi-story buildings, and still they couldn't see the ceiling of dirt above them. I mean, obviously it's dark, so at a certain point the ceiling might be there, but you can't see it, but still it's not right there. So that was always a really fun book series for me. Kind of ruined it with the movie, but sometimes that happens. It was still cool to see it visually. Not too much a fan of that mole rat though. But yeah, so underground cities, I love them. Really cool to read about. Super fun to write about right now. And if you've never seen Hogans Heroes, what are you doing? Go get the DVD out from the library. It's hilarious. Oh, and just the first couple episodes are in black and white. It's the pilot, just don't move on from there. But it's really funny. But until next week, have an awesome week.